got a guy
What a
like that that's built
shot.
like that, the 6'4", that you got to transcend like that.
They got Jordan Davis last season. They bring Fletcher Cox back in Philly. So I'm sitting there like, we need to put something on this offensive line to combat that. What's going on? Welcome back, everybody. We apologize for the delay in the action. We had some stuff to take care of, but while we were gone, all kinds of stuff was happening, man. Cowboys decided to trade for Trey Lance. Who would have saw that coming? Because I didn't. And raw reaction, like I couldn't even get on here that day and talk about it because I was so confused. How you feeling on it?
No, I think initially the main thing I thought about was the 4th round pick. You know what I mean? Especially with us being a team that drafted so well.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't like to give that draft capital. You know what I mean? I like to let Will McClay cook. But you know what I mean? The more I thought about it, the more I kind of just gauged the situation. I guess it makes sense. You know what I mean? Especially that once you hear that the Cowboys were interested in kind of getting a quarterbacks, a project, somebody they can get on this roster and kind of develop. You know, you heard about them pretty much looking at Aiden O'Connell. We knew they was looking at Max Duncan, different things like that. So you knew they kind of wanted to go this direction at some point. And you know, Trey Lance, man, you think about it, look, he's still 23, he's young, he's you know, he got a lot of upside. He hasn't played yet. So when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, Mike McCarthy, obviously he is owed some credit, you know what I mean, when his comes to Aaron Rodgers and things of that nature. So we know he can develop quarterbacks. You know what I mean? To have a guy like that, hey, it's just a shot in the dark, man. It's a gamble. And if it works out, cool, man. You know what I mean? We get a good backup, high upside in that, maybe a potential starter down the road, you know what I mean, depending on what goes on with Dak. And in the meantime, you just got a guy that can sit and learn and honestly just take his time, not be faced with the pressure of being a top 3 pick anymore. And what do you know, man? Let's see if he develops, man.
No, I do hope he can work that out and boost his confidence over in Dallas, but I don't know if he can beat out Cooper Rush for QB2 right away. Like I do think there is some time there. I don't know where he's at, and I would like to see it, in a Dallas uniform, like how he performs. But like you said, he is a project man, and in time maybe this works out in our favor. Maybe we can flip him for something better. Maybe eventually he can play some QB in Dallas.
Which honestly is on the table. I think if you look at it, he plays well this year and next year. And I mean, if he just happens to look good, he leaves, we'll get a compensatory pick back from it that'll be obviously higher than that 4th round pick. So once we look back at this in hindsight, it probably won't even matter. And just to talk about him being QB2 this year, I don't even think that's the case. I don't see him coming in right now, kind of being behind the thing, as far as like learning the whole offense and what goes into it. I think Cooper Rush will be QB2. I don't really see a situation where he'll come in and play meaningful games this year. You know what I
Right.
mean? So outside of that, I just think it's a redshirt year. So I don't think it's nothing to talk about there. Obviously, the media, we've kind of been through this thing before. At one point, Andy Dalton, he was going to
Right.
replace Dak, and you know what I mean. Then it was Cooper Rush. Obviously, we all knew that was BS, and it goes on and on and on. So for Dak, I don't really think he worries too much about this. Maybe it goes into contract negotiations, but you got a guy who has all the leverage,
Mhm.
and a guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder anyway, so it's nothing to him. I think the timing of it is kind of weird, but
Yeah.
I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think it's too much pressure. Dak is QB1, and when you talk about Trey Lance having played, any ball, I mean it's true, man. I seen a stat that Geno Smith last season threw more balls than Trey Lance has through his whole career. Just let you know how raw the guy is. You know what I mean? So it it's one of those things where like and you can get excited about that. I mean,
Right.
I went back and I kind of took a look at the game when they played against the Denver Broncos week 2 of the preseason, and you can kind of see how raw he was. You could see the throwing off of different platforms and how strong the arm was, but then you can also see, what I mean, if he can't read the field, then he kind of struggles with that. He kind of falls to throwing off his back foot a little bit. But hey, if he sees it, hey, he's slinging it, and what I mean, that's something to build with. Hey, look, man. And he came from West Coast offense at North Dakota State. So what do you know, man?
But no, and you mentioned that this will be a red shirt year for him, but I feel like this man's been red shirting for years, bro. And Dak's job is not in question, not at all. Like I know the haters out there are going to talk about that, but I mean, if you can find value somewhere, you go get it.
Yeah.
But speaking of value, Will Greer, my man, balled out in that job interview. And it's sad to see him go, man. And I thought that was like kind of a really terrible situation for him. I think this
Yeah.
whole situation has been mad weird though. Like Jerry's making deals behind everybody's back. He's like, "Oh, surprise, here's Trey Lance." And then Mike's like, "Oh, Will, like go ahead and run out there and get the shit kicked out of you for 4 quarters against these backups." And he was like, "All right, no problem." And then balls out. Like, that's crazy.
Which honestly, I think it was a kind gesture. You know what I'm saying? Did they gave him the chance to perform? You know what I mean? And he went out there and did so. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And not only to him, like salute to him. Like he balled out. He showed his mobility, running for touchdowns. He was doing it all, man. So he had a huge performance. And look, maybe if he had did that like early on in the preseason, maybe that trade would have never happened. You know what I mean? And it makes you think like if he had did that, could he even supplanted the Cooper Rush? Because he looks like a better fit,
Right.
but you know what I mean? I just think with Cooper Rush, he was just a guy that's familiar with, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, he won some games for us last year. Was it really due to him? Was it not? I can beg to differ. I think, the defense carried him. He just did what he had to
He
do, but
managed the games.
he managed the game, and sometimes that's what you need. But
Right.
I think as far as like arm talent and going out there, obviously, you know what I mean? I think Will Greer is a better talent. Cooper Rush, he just was a guy that first before it all, I mean, that's just Jason Garrett's guy, you know what I
Right.
mean? And Jason Garrett's other guy, Kellen Moore. So he knew this system like his hand, but now that this back of his hand, but now that this system is changing, we'll see how much value Cooper Rush has in the next year or so. And but I don't want to get too much into that. I think we kind of set what our top three quarterbacks. It'll be Dak and Cooper Rush, and then you know what I mean. Trey Lance here kind of sit it out, kind of go through this year. But man, salute to Will Grier. He put on like one of the best performances I've just seen. To be honest, man, it was fun to watch, and everybody got involved.
It was
You know what I
beautiful.
mean? Yeah,
And we saw the little tub to our boy Schoonmaker. So I think like I don't know if it's like a tight end one, tight end two type thing over there in the tight end room, but I do think Fergie's the more ready to go tight end, and then on the other side, Schoonmaker like he'll get his looks as well.
yeah. I mean, honestly, man, going into this thing, like as far as the off season, um, I think we all felt strongly about Jake Ferguson and what he was going to bring to the table this year, which is why it was kind of a huge reaction to us even taking that a tight end that I mean in round two, man. So now with all that being said, now that we got Shoemaker in there, I do like what he's done. He looked like he got better with each preseason game that he did play, and I
Hmm.
think that we'll see that continue throughout the preseason, not the preseason. I'm sorry, throughout the season. You know what I mean? But how much will he play? I think you'll see him, what I mean, in there, what I mean, being a guy that, what I mean, supports Fergie a lot. But also I think you'll see a lot of Sean McEwen too. So I
Yeah.
don't know how much he'll be on the field, but I think he'll be impactful, I mean, where we put him at, different packages and things like that.
Talk to stick to the offensive side of the ball, bro. So I think the Cowboys have some decisions to make in the running back room. Only we can only carry so many of those backs, and I think I mean obviously we're gonna hold Deuce. That would be kind of bogus to let him go,
For sure.
and then Tony's got that locked up. Talk to me a bit about how you're feeling about the rest of the backfield.
Man, honestly, I think it's a fun backfield. Like Rico Dowdle, um, he showed out. You know what I mean? He kind of showed everything I wanted to see from him. You know what I mean? As far as like, hey, do you have the juice? Can you run in between the tackles? You know what I mean? Can he pass protect? I think he showed that and proved that. So I think once he showed that, it became a situation, okay, we felt comfortable with this guy. And I think for him, the main thing has just been healthy. I think the Cowboys always liked him. And as long as he can stay on the field, he's a guy that's gonna get opportunities. So I like Rico. Obviously, we love Deuce Vaughn. They seem to be loving him over there in Dallas. They put him in all type of different
Yeah,
situations. I think he'll be a beast. You know what I'm saying? I think as far as RB2, RB3, I don't really know if we can get too into that. I think all these guys will get touches. Uh, but honestly, I think Malik Davis is the odd man out, man. So I think it comes down to will we keep four or will we keep three? And if we keep three, he's out. If he keeps four, I think you kind of got to look at what Hunter Lupic was able to do. You know what I mean? In this preseason game, he showed out. They kind of gave him like a balanced workload. And, you know what I mean? Honestly, he showed me a lot. And I don't know if we'll keep him on the roster, but I think this is a guy you need to try to find a way to keep around, man. I
I
like what he
like
brought to the table.
I like Lupic as well. And then I was just thinking about, bro, this time last year, talking about the wide receiver room, we had CeeDee Lamb, Gallup coming off of the injury, and Dennis Houston.
I know it, bro.
and
Don't
no,
don't
and
don't disrespect Noah Brown.
no,
You
no,
know,
and Noah Brown. But I'm just thinking, bro, we played what Monday night against Tampa and rolled out with Dennis Houston.
and for him to
We've
get cut the next week,
right.
that goes to show you, man. Like, and but it's crazy, man. What Dak dealt with last year. You know, what I mean, as far as the injury, um, and then when he came back, how he was willing and dealing. We went from like what I think total offense, like ranked like towards the bottom half of the league, all the way into a top team, it's offensively, and just a blink of an eye. And it
Hmm.
just goes to show you, you know, what I mean, how good he is with those weapons, man. And even in that, you know, what I mean, towards the later end of the season, we was able to get a T.Y. Hilton in there.
Right.
And you know, what I mean, he was able to fit in, and Dak was able to ball out with those guys. But now you bring Cooks into the table, and we talking a healthy Michael Gallup with
Hmm.
a Tolbert that's intriguing and kind of coming into his own, man. It got a potential to get real scary. You know
Yeah,
what
it
I'm saying?
does.
I'm
And
telling you.
that's not even mentioning the tight end room right there. But the offensive line depth, bro, is kind of like I'm still nervous about that. I know there's some linemen available on the street, but we don't really have to get into that too much. But I do think I am concerned about our depth on the offensive line because we're one Tyron Smith injury away from all hell breaking loose up front.
For sure. And that's one thing that's always going to be in the back of our mind. But I think, you know what I mean, you can't not talk about it, but as long as we rolling those five out, right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You got Zach Turnstill, obviously you know, Tyler in the middle, and well, we two Tylers and
Right.
Tyron Smith on the outside, man. That's a top five unit right there. Depth. We talk about depth, but we seen some good things from some young talent this offseason, man. Austin Richards, he bought out, man.
Yeah.
And you know, what I mean, whether it was guard, whether it's tackle, he looked comfortable at both. And I think that's somebody I think the Cowboys can now look at and say, okay, that can be our swing tackle. This is the future, you know, even in a year or so, depending on what happens with Tyne or maybe Terrence still if we don't get him signed, but I think we will. Outside of that, you know, Hoffman, he didn't look too bad. And you know, Bass, man, he played his ass off too, man.
That's
So
true.
we got some young pieces, but I think somewhere along that we got to go and get a veteran guy. You know what I mean? We need some more pieces. It's not enough. Um, I'm sorry to say, but you know what I mean. Your boy, damn, I see, I forgot his name already. Josh Ball.
Oh,
He
that's your
just
boy.
he just kind of had that injury at the wrong time, but low key the right time, and I think his time is up. So you know what I mean, for to say for lack of words, I think we'll be looking, but I think we'll be all right at the end of the day, man.
That's what, and then we're about to hit a weird spot tomorrow, where, or I guess that would be today when you guys listening to this, where these some of these guys are going to get cut that we've had our eyes on for the last couple seasons, or even headed into this past draft. So you'll see, like, just because the 53-man roster is what it is on Tuesday, doesn't mean that is what it's going to be on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, things are going to get shuffled around some more. So hopefully, if a guard or a tackle pops up there, man, that would ease a lot of my concerns.
Oh, I already know Will Clay. He's working it.
Hmm.
And it's not by well, I say it is by design that you know what I mean we one of the teams that we kind of wait to the last minute as far as like releasing this news, these transactions of things like that.
Right.
Because I think we're probably already working with some of our guys. Hey, look, you know what I mean? We're gonna cut you real quick, but you know what I mean, just stand by. We're gonna get you back on the roster. And I believe it's a lot of guys out there that Will McClay is kind of just watching and keeping his eye on just in case some guys drop. But outside of that, I think we'll be working the trade market as well. I don't think we're done.
That's what I know your boy Leatherwood, he got cut the other day, and
He can stay cut for real.
nah
He he's a bust. Yeah.
no, but on the defensive side of the ball, man, straight to the secondary. Kelvin Joseph is a roller coaster ride, my friend. The biggest roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do with Kelvin Joseph?
Truthfully, man, I think he makes the roster.
Yeah,
He makes the roster right now, and um you got Jordan Lewis. He's working his way back. He says he's ready. So even though he's ready, you got a guy that you can kind of stash to kind of, you know what I mean, not be too worried about that right now. I think he's made a roster special team. He played well in the preseason. I
hmm,
mean, if we're gonna tell him when he down, knock him down, you know what I'm saying? We got to kind of give him his praise when he does well. And you know what I mean, he
that's
did his
fair.
thing this preseason. We didn't expect it. We just kind of seen those highlights of him getting cooked left and right, you know what I mean? But hey, man, he was going to get some dogs out there. But you know what I mean? The guy went out there, he lined up who he had to line up against, and he did his thing. So respect there. That's crazy to say, you know what I mean? And Nashawn Wright, he got hurt, so I don't know where he's at with it. So he might be another stash guy. But Eric Scott, a guy that we had high expectations for, he didn't show up in the preseason. So
Right.
what we thought was gonna happen as far as that leap and a guy that Dan Quinn like, Kevin Joseph showed up. And he'll
And
be there.
then and good for him, man. In the safety room, so Dono's likely gonna miss the start of the season or no?
I haven't heard any injury news regarding. I mean, I feel like he'll be close, but I don't feel a need for us to rush him back either.
Right.
So we'll probably get more news. You know, what I'm saying throughout the next week. Normally by I'll say Wednesdays to get closer to walkthroughs. If he ain't going through walkthroughs, and the installs and things like that, he's probably not going to play. But it's no rush, man. We good. We got a monster back there regardless. Curse. You know what I mean? Obviously Malik Hooker and then Wanye Thomas. I think he makes this roster and he showed us some good things as well. So we got some guys that could fill in. I don't think we're hurting. And obviously Marquise Bell, Izzy, we straight at safety. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I like the depth a lot in this bro. This is like the most confidence I've had in our depth as far as secondary goes headed into a season in a very long time. I think we got bodies.
Oh, we deep, man.
Um, the only place I think that worries me defensively is the linebacker position. And I mean, it looks like Jabril's on the bubble, possibly not going to make this roster, man. And that's odd because we've all been waiting for Jabril, you know?
Well, it's crazy because the talent has always been there. And then, Overshown just came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And he balled out and he kind of slid right into that role that we thought Jabril was gonna be. Like, like even from the first outset, the first preseason game, he was in there. He was like, damn, Jabril ain't getting the game. He's playing with the third string. It's crazy. Then you see guys like Devin Harper, he get an opportunity. Honestly, he looked more comfortable. He looked better than Jabril Cox when given the time. And I think Malik Jefferson, whenever he returns, he's another guy. So I just think with the depth and how, what I mean, it's kind of iffy on the back end right now. We may end up keeping Jabril Cox just because.
Hmm.
I think if Overshown had stayed in there, it may have been a different story. But if we don't go and get a guy, see Christian Kirksey, other linebackers out there, obviously, I think it's Rashad Evans. He's still out there as well on
Hmm.
the block. It's some guys, but if we don't go out there and potentially get a guy, I think Jabril is safe. But as of right now, I think we can keep some guys just because, I mean, how scarce it is, and if an injury happened, we might be hurting out there.
That's what I'm kind of nervous about letting these guys go in and grabbing another linebacker off the street because Anthony Barr was kind of a shit show. But I like Jabril, man. I like Jabril. And I kind of had high hopes for him. Like I was hoping to see more out of him. But you kind of never know where a guy's at after a knee injury like that, you know? Like it could just be taking him a while.
I mean, yeah, but he kind of got that stamp of approval from Mike. He felt like he was back. Um, and maybe that's just like with the explosiveness of things, of what I mean, as far as moving side to sideline, seeing that athleticism come back in the form. But now I think now that it's back in plays, I think it's more so with just seeing it, see ball, get ball.
Right.
And I think he's still kind of a little hesitant in that. And I don't know how comfortable Dan Quinn is with having a guy out there right now and still, what I mean, hesitating right now. So if they're willing to wait on him, they might. But I don't think even if a guy goes out, I don't really think he'll be the first or maybe even the second guy coming in right now. He have to earn that
Now and then the Demario and Overshown, man, that kind of hurts because I think we did see a path where we knew who our guys were going to be at linebacker,
for sure.
and that sucks so bad for that guy,
And
man.
he was
Like,
going to be a weapon for sure.
yes,
You seen it,
it was clear as day. Like
yeah.
Overshown was going to be that guy, and then boom, it happens just like that, man. Looking at the defensive front, who do you think is on the bubble on that side of things?
I think Neville Gallimore,
Yep.
obviously. What I mean, I think the Cowboys want to get a lot more beefier up front, and if you look at it, we deep there too. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
got Hankins, he's gonna be your starter. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you got Osa right there. Bohana, I think Bohana makes his team, and obviously we know Mozzie ain't going nowhere, right?
Right.
You got Chauncey Golston as a guy who may be a DT, but kind of got the versatility to move inside or outside. I don't really know if you can kind of place a guy like that right now with how deep we are at defense. And I think you want to go long at pass rush and keep as many of those guys. And I think Dan Quinn, obviously, he likes to rotate those pass rushes. So if anywhere we're going long at defense end. But as far as big boys, hey, if one of these guys go out, man, why not keep them? I like having this. It's something we ain't seen in Dallas in a long time, and I'm kind of glad that Dan Quinn was able to come in and kind of change the tide of that position. And even Mike McCarthy, I think he kind of values the big guys up front too, man. So yeah, yeah, I think Gallimore is definitely a trade candidate.
I think with and Gallimore, man, I think Osa is right there on the cusp of like breaking out finally, and then
Oh, he gonna ball out.
With Gallimore, like I kind of thought he would be we see Osa right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's kind of really taken a long time, and at this point, it's like he just ain't got it like we thought he did.
And
But
he wasn't really a Dan Quinn guy anyway. You know what I mean? We
true,
kind of went through this with Malik Collins,
right?
these fast, twitchy guys. But lately, you know what I mean? I don't really think he fits the mold. Dan Quinn is getting his guys. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And if you're gonna stick around, you know what I mean, you better show something. So he's got beat out every year by another person, you know what I mean, on and on and on. And you know what I mean, even Tristan Hill was kind of what the what with him for the longest, and
Right.
he got cut. So yeah, I think Gallimore is out the door. As far as other trade candidates, who can you think of that, maybe the Cowboys could be shopping of value at the moment?
Dorrance Armstrong, maybe.
No, I see. I can't get rid of my pass rushers, man. We got to keep Dorrance in there. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because that's one of the most quietest
He's
guys. I just like,
but
why didn't he didn't even play this offseason? I'm like, damn, Dorrance has gained that, that veteran presence in the locker room that Dan Quinn is like, you're that valuable to not get no reps in this preseason. But yeah, I guess so.
that's what I ain't trying to trade nobody, bro. Like I kind of like what we got going on, man.
If so, I was thinking maybe Peyton Hendershot or maybe one of the tight ends. And this crazy thing about injuries, man. If John Stevens Jr. didn't get cut, but now, I think you kind of keep everybody right there. Maybe Will Grier. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Hey,
somebody come calling after that game and say, hey man, you know, we're trying
no,
to
that's
cut in
fair.
line. We're trying to cut in line.
That's fair. And then looking at like, I really am excited to see who else gets cut in the next 24 hours or so, and seeing what availability there is out there because depth wise, like we're good almost everywhere. It's just like certain spots I think we could use. Certain spots I do think there's room for improvement.
Man, I'm so ready for the Giants, man. Top to bottom, man, this roster, I don't know how many is better. I don't even know if I can call me biased. It's not many, and if it's many, I can't name two. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So we deep, you know what I mean? And it's exciting, man. We got a defense right now and it's kind of stacked at every position. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? All we the fact that we got to sit on here and we're talking about depth,
Right.
and then even the depth that we have, we're not really trying to get rid of nobody. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like the development of what we got going on, the acquisition, the talent acquisition of what Will McClain, these guys have brought in here. We got guys, you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that showed up. There's a lot of guys that may not make it. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys who want to keep around. Like, I don't really want to cut Jalen Brooks. I kind of like Jalen Moreno Cropper. You know what I
Right.
mean? I like Hunter Lupe. You know what I'm saying? I like a lot of guys, and I'm just hoping we find a way to get some of these guys onto the practice squad. And if so, you know what I mean, if it's somebody we got to look around for, I think it's somebody Will McClay probably I didn't draft anyway, and probably just want to throw a dart at just say, hey, I would have taken this guy. Let's see if we can see if we can get him on our wing and see what
Right.
we can do with him.
That's what, man, I'm still tight about the Isaiah Simmons thing too because been
Yeah, that was
screaming from
perfect
the rooftops, bro,
for
to
sure.
grab that.
He was
And
on
if
that
we
months ago.
what?
Yeah.
And then they let him go to New York? That's crazy, bro. But no, I'm trying to think. So we got the Giants coming up. What's that? Sunday night?
Yep. Sunday night,
Sunday night, bro. And
and they've been talking. What they talking over there? I like it though, man. I like it. Everybody feel like they got a shot, man. You know what I mean? They've been talking a little bit more than kind of everybody when you think about it. Like Philly fans is Philly fans. I let them talk. They earned it. You know what I mean? We're gonna go back and forth with them because obviously they're the most competitive. But the Giants, they talking like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna be that team. So I can't wait to get in there and kind of show our dominance. I don't think they're gonna be a pushover. But at the same time, man, you know what I mean? It get crazy out there for him in a heartbeat, man, because
mhm.
we got the boys. And then, you know what I mean? We're going to bring out this new Mike McCarthy offense, which I'm excited to see. Like, did you see Dak calling that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And kind of how comfortable he was getting into the looks, kind of seeing the flow of the game. And that just means to me that, when it's time and he's out there and whatever it is that Mike call, when it's time to say, hey, Dak, what do you see? You got free reign to audible, get into comfortable looks. You know Dak is a guy that now that you see that, obviously he probably could have did that previously, but
Right.
with Kellen Moore, how much freedom did he have? But Mike is giving him that opportunity to do so, and he showed, man, he can call a hell of a game, man, and it was balanced as hell.
Yeah, of course. And no, Dak did a phenomenal job, and that's something that we definitely should harp on, man. He did seem to see the game from a different perspective, and he saw it very well.
Yeah, man. So, hey, man, we don't got long. We don't got long. We ain't gotta wait too long, man. So, hey, the Giants, like I said, they up next. It's gonna be a lot of talk. We don't really look too much into the chatter. You know what I mean? Jerry, funny man. I think sometimes the things he says, like, "Hey, I didn't really, talk to too many people before I did this deal." I think a lot of it is just marketing and things like that. Keep them talking, whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, like, don't listen to the outside chatter. This team is tight knit. They glued together. The boys is ready to go. Seen a little clip of Micah and Mozzie. He got him in the boxing gym right now, and he working. The boys is still at it, man. I'm hyped. I'm excited. How you feeling, man?
I can't believe it's here, bro. Like I just can't believe it's here. You know the Blues, like once February rewind. Once the boys are done playing, you start getting the Blues, but then you're like, but we can still watch the ball. They got the NFC Championship game on the way, the
It ain't the
Super
same.
Bowl. It ain't the same, but then as soon as that's over, it's just like, damn, like what do we do now? So we're all just sitting around waiting for this coming Sunday right here, bro, and it's time to roll.
Yeah, football makes the world go round. Best sport in the world, man. So hey, look, stay tuned. Look, we're gonna have a lot of news. We're gonna be dropping this. You'll see a lot of things coming out of the next couple of days. Let's see how we fine tune this thing. Hopefully, we're able to keep some of this talent. Hey, let's see if we hit this trade market, man. Hey, salute. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe, man. Tap in with us, man. We're gonna be here and be here for a long time, man. So tap in.